What's up, Toronto commuters? Check it out. It's time for another installment of Toronto's Psycho Cyclists. Check it out. We start with a really, really good one here. This guy, I mean, obviously is a psycho, right? He's hanging out in the middle of the intersection. Who does that? What would I mean? Obviously, freaking everybody out. The drivers are having to like go around him and stuff like that. This guy, is it like a form of protest, or you know what? Or maybe it's his creative way of turning left. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Got a couple more psychos here. Obviously, they're psychos because they're in front of the line there. They actually they go past the crosswalk and then stop, and then, they cross from there. It's pretty sketchy. Pretty sketched out. So this is Bloor and Runnymede. It's like weekday evening, kind of like the tail end of rush hour. So not really rushy rush hour, but kind of, a little bit. So you can see the street's still pretty busy and stuff. And we got more psycho cyclists right here. Check it out. Hanging out on the sidewalk. And cyclists do this all the time, and as you can see, it puts pedestrians at a lot of risk here. You can see the pedestrians there not too pleased about it. They're obviously a little bit scared here, but nobody's willing to stand up to a cyclist, right? Because they're psycho. They're totally psycho. You can see they're crossing right in the crosswalk there. And then just continuing, as if they didn't do anything wrong. They should be, when they obviously should have just lined up in the curb lane, right there where you're supposed to. And, just waited there in front of the drivers who are lined up to turn right. I mean, obviously, another psycho cyclist here. You can see he's just going straight through. He's got the right of way and he's using it. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. And check it out. He's going to squeeze through there. Doesn't even do a shoulder check. Just goes right through. Whatever. There's psycho cyclist there going through just with his right of way, like he owns the road. It's insane. It's insane. The cyclist behavior in Toronto, it's really insane. I started this video series because Councillor Giorgio Mammoliti made this this kind of call to action. When he said the cyclists downtown. See, that guy just ran a red light. I actually ran a red light. I mean, yeah, sort of. He basically ran a yellow that turned red. I mean, completely psycho, Drivers don't do that, right? Pedestrians don't do that. It's just the cyclists that do that. And at the brilliant thing that that Mammoliti said was, it's when you give them safety. So this is why I'm picking spots where there's bike lanes. And there's no bike lanes on Blue here, but on Runnymede here there is. So it attracts a bunch of cyclists, and then you get to see their crazy psycho behavior. Look at this guy right here, sitting there in the curb lane next to somebody who's obviously trying to turn right. Let's see what happens here. See, they're going through so close to the pedestrians there. So close. I mean, it just causes so much danger, so much danger to pedestrians when cyclists get that close and going that fast. We've got another cyclist here, hanging out in the curb lane. I mean, it's a right turn lane. Well, sort of. It's a through lane, but I mean, he's basically taking up the whole lane, right? But not taking up the whole lane. So what is a driver supposed to do? Come in next to him? Come in behind him? There's no right way to do it. And then he turns onto the sidewalk. Turning onto the sidewalk, right, instead of squeezing through there, like he should be between that parked car and that moving car in that, in that space. It's almost a meter, that space. It's like more than enough space for somebody to, to bike along. And all he has to do is go slow enough so that, if somebody doors him, it's not too painful. It's not too bad, but of course instead mounts up on the sidewalk because that's, so Giorgio Mammoliti, he said, all the cyclists downtown are becoming psycho, and it's because we're placating them. And he's absolutely right. This is exactly what happens when you get too many. You get them going through intersections like that, just as if they're driving, as if they own the place. Again, when cyclists know when you come to an intersection, you're supposed to get off your bike and walk across as a pedestrian. So here's more cyclists just going straight across. That's the most dangerous thing you can do as a cyclist, is go straight through an intersection when the light turns green. That's where most accidents happen, where cyclists get injured, is where they're crossing with the light, and they've got the green light. So it's it's concerning to see cyclists doing that. Here, see this guy. What is his plan here? Using the crosswalk to cross across to here. And now we've got two cyclists who are about to use the crosswalk. This guy basically used it to turn left. Probably both of these people used it to make a left turn, just because they didn't want to be doing a proper, normal vehicular left turn by hanging out in the middle of the intersection. Those guys should have been both right here in front of this driver here, or behind this driver, waiting for a chance to turn left against this through traffic. That's the way to do it. You don't see cyclists doing that. Well, that's probably what the cyclist at the beginning of this video was trying to do, but it still looks ridiculous because they're a cyclist, So there's it's crazy to try to make a left turn, as a cyclist, and it's really psycho when they try to avoid it, and it happens all the time. They'll turn across, they'll use the crosswalk, wait again at the edge, where there's already, it's full of pedestrians. It's not like there's a lot of space there. They've got this really wide, turning radius there so that drivers can go around there really fast, as long as there's no pedestrians crossing to yield to. But, if there's nobody there, the drivers can just go around there at like 40 or 50K, and, it's designed so that you can do that. So there's not a lot of space there for a bunch of cyclists to be standing around with their bicycles, cheating their way out of doing a left-hand turn just by using the sidewalk and stuff. It's really, it's, what can you say? It's psycho. It's pretty crazy. Here we got another one on the sidewalk. Look at that. Just as if he's harmless, but he's causing so much danger to all these pedestrians here. Just like bombing across the intersection, pushing his way through pedestrians in the crosswalk. Just show, cyclists, they're so brazen, they don't care. And who knows what he's trying to accomplish? Came along through here. Is he trying to go that way? It's hard to tell because their behavior is just so insane. here we go with another one coming up here, and then just hanging out on the curb. You know, he's crowding me basically, getting in my space, and you know, he's not really allowing enough space for drivers to get past him, you know, without going super slow, right? So you come up on the intersection and boom, there's a cyclist there. You know, oh, great. See this person right here having to squeeze in next to him. There's practically no space there, you know? Pedestrians having to push past him because there's no room. It's totally hogging all the space. See this guy? Look at this. Look how dumb that is. This guy's trying to just squeeze through. Oh no, he's not trying to squeeze through. This person's trying to squeeze through. See? Crowding that driver. It's like I want to skip through this a little bit to make it less boring, but you know, education is boring. Like, learning stuff can be kind of boring. But I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit. I don't want to miss anything though. You know, these crazy cyclists with their crazy moves. It just happens so fast. Look at this guy crossing. It's so psycho. He's just going so slow and forcing this bus to like slow down. And then look at this, what happens. It's like making the bus driver wonder whether or not he can turn. You know, the bus driver's like, what the hell do I do here? You know, are you going to stay? You're going to go. What the hell? So it's just, they're always getting in the way of the buses. I don't know if oh, there is a cyclist. Again, crossing straight through the intersection with the right of way. It's a good way to get hurt, you know. It's just a good way to get hurt. It's insane. Anybody who thinks that's safe is insane. You know, like I say, that's how cyclists get hurt. Alright, enough of this. So the next spot that I went to was, this is a spot where you're going to see a lot of psycho behavior because it's where two bike lanes, you know, or two roads with bike lanes on them cross over. These are pretty similar roads too. It's like 3 lanes, you know, 2 lanes plus the left turn lane, and then these, you know, these narrow painted bike lanes on either side. Man, I'm getting seasick here. So here, you know, you can see we already, you know, been rolling for like 15 seconds, and there's already this psycho cyclist sitting here waiting to do something crazy. You always know they're going to do something crazy because they're on a bike, like that guy. Again, going straight through with the right of way. It's insane. You know, this cyclist should not be doing this, going straight through the intersection with their right of way, because it's super dangerous, and it's inconsiderate to drivers. Like flaunting the fact that you have, you know, access to the road, you know, reminding all the drivers like of what they've lost. You know, they've along both of these roads they've lost extra lanes, and you can see how backed up it is, you know, because of that. It's just total gridlock. This is what happens when you put in bike lanes. You get roads that are just unusable because they're so full of cars, because there's just not enough lanes. Let's see what kind of crazy stuff these cyclists do. They're gonna do something nuts. I mean, they're all just psycho. See, they're even like pushing up past the stopping line. They're all the drivers. They're stopped in the right place, but the cyclist has to be like just a meter ahead. Here we go. No, somebody's even skateboarding. See, they've got the right idea. Skateboarding. That's a good idea. Skateboarding in the bike lane. That's what bike lanes are good for. Is like skateboarding, you know, longboarding. Go pretty fast on a longboard. It's pretty cool. Oh, here we go. Got two totally psycho cyclists here. I think they came from behind that drive. They came from that lane. Let's see what kind of crazy shenanigans these guys try to do. Already putting everybody on this corner at risk. All these pedestrians who are using this corner right now, they have to deal with these two cyclists who do not care about anybody except themselves. And they're gonna use pedestrian infrastructure to get through this intersection. What are they trying to... There you go. They're trying to turn left. See, they're trying to turn left, but without using the intersection. You see this all the time. I see this every day. People, trying to cheat their way out of making a left turn. See, both of those cyclists, they should be right here, either in front of this driver here or behind this driver here, waiting to turn left, normally like everybody else. But, oh no, because I'm a cyclist, I get to use the sidewalk to do it. It's like, just... I think that one actually drove onto the sidewalk. Yeah, went across the intersection, and now, now he's on the sidewalk, because why not? Because he's a total psycho. I wonder what he's gonna... Oh, see, he's just... It's one more person who's trying to cheat their way out of making a normal left turn by doing it, in two steps, and using the sidewalk to do it, and the guy was going fast enough to run somebody over. If there was a pedestrian there, he probably would have just bowled him right over and not even cared, because that's what these cyclists are like. They're just, you can see they're totally brazen. They don't care, and they're reckless. Here we got this other person here. It's totally over the line. It's not even a green light, and she's already hanging over the line there. You got a cyclist passing another one, going through there. Okay. This is crazy. So I'm just going to show it again. I remember how messed up this was. So she's already, like I said, hanging out over the line there. She's got some other cyclists behind her, right? They're pulling up. And, they should just stay single file through the intersection, because, like, cyclists don't need to pass each other or whatever. I mean, that's for drivers. But check it. We got one cyclist that actually... I can't find enough about this. Stop it right at the money shot here. Boom. We got a cyclist in the crosswalk. We got another who's just going through with their right of way, straight through. It's insane enough as it is. But then we got somebody actually trying to pass them. I mean, I don't get why cyclists try to, like, pass each other, because, the slowest cyclists go like maybe 15, 20 kilometers an hour. The fastest cyclists are at like 45. So obviously the fastest cyclists just need to slow down and just do 15. If there's somebody in front of you, block after block after block doing 15, you got to slow down to their speed, because you can't be just passing other cyclists, in an intersection. Like in this instance, it looks like there was room, but what if there'd been, some pedestrians there using the crosswalk? That cyclist probably would have just, jumped right into them. Because, like, they really don't, they really just don't show regard for other road users. But it's because of these bike lanes. As soon as you put in bike lanes, the cyclists go crazy, and they just think they can do anything, running through red lights, trying to, make crazy turns, when it's not safe and it's not legal. I mean, drivers don't do that. It's just the cyclists. Drivers totally, when they're turning, it's not like you see drivers going through red lights all the time and stuff like that. Drivers, like, when it goes yellow, they stop. When it goes red, they stop. So you never see drivers, like, pushing through a red light like that. It's always just the cyclists. Because it's entitlement. That's what it is. total entitlement, you know. And also, it's when you don't spend that much money on something, you just kind of don't care that as much about it. And driving's it's just so much more expensive that drivers really take it seriously. And you got to take it seriously. It's life and death. Got to be serious about it. Check it out right here. Totally confusing the drivers. So the deal is, I remember what the deal was with this guy. Because he failed to get from the bike lane to the left turn lane, right? Like what he should have done was merge in with this traffic, you know, merge out of the bike lane and into the main lane. No, not with that traffic, but with this traffic. He needed to be merging in like right there in front of that truck and then getting into that left turn lane. But instead, he tries to do it via the crosswalk. And then freaks out that driver because that driver's like, well, we got a psycho cyclist here. He's trying to cross like against the light on the crosswalk and stuff like that. So, you know, the cyclist is just like, what? What's your issue? I mean, and he wasted like 2 seconds of both of those drivers' time. That's, you know, and that one too. Look at the, see, now we got a couple cyclists that are next to each other at the intersection here, and this guy is still waiting in that left turn lane. He's going to try to make a left turn no, he's not going to. See, totally psycho. He's using the sidewalk instead of, you know, making that left turn, which would also be completely psycho. There's no, you know, there's no non-psycho way to make a left turn as a cyclist, you know, because cyclists aren't supposed to be making left turns. Like, you're supposed to plan out your route so that you get a good bike ride, you know, and doing a bunch of left turns doesn't make for a good bike ride. You know, these people obviously don't know what they're doing at all. And these two just going straight through like they own the place, you know, it's crazy. Here's another one. Oh, and see, making a right turn. He just went right around there. Didn't even stop or anything like that, you know. Just, he's got a green light and he just went all the way around. It's like, what if there'd been, you know, a pedestrian crossing there? He probably wouldn't have even stopped. Check out, what is this person doing? There you go, another one dipping into the sidewalk. You know, like if that pedestrian had been a little bit earlier, then that guy would have just run into her. You know, if she'd been like 4 meters over, he would have just run right into her. Because, you know, if she'd been there, he would have done the exact same thing, right? Because they don't react. Like, they don't notice the people around. It's not like they're looking around and stuff like that. They're just on their own kind of thing, all spaced out. Or in some kind of, like, aggro, you know, state where they're trying to squeeze and blah, 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 blah. Oh, you know what? I think there's another psycho cyclist up in here, too. Like, behind this bus. Or something. Ooh. Whoa! Okay, hang on. We got here. Just gonna slow it down a little bit here. Oh, see, yeah. That's exactly what happened. The cyclist, instead of just waiting patiently behind the bus, jumps onto the sidewalk, bombs through super fast. You can see now. Come on, see? Just bombs through, pushing past these pedestrians, and we got another one crossing the crosswalk here. Just flying across that crosswalk, you know, as if nobody else is there. Insane. And now he's just hanging out on the corner. It's crazy. See what the heck is, it goes right behind those pedestrians, jumps right onto that road. I mean, it's such a dangerous move. It's so dangerous. Dangerous to themselves, dangerous to those pedestrians. It's just a huge threat to everybody at the intersection there. This is probably another cyclist who's just trying to avoid, who's just trying to, he's trying to turn left, basically, by using the crosswalks and then going behind the pedestrians. Such a sketchy thing to do. And you'll notice, he did it like super fast, and without even looking around and anything like that. It's what can you say? It's surprising any of these people are still alive, given how crazy they are with their bikes. Got another one pulling up here. Look at pulling past that other cyclist, like as if there's enough room to do that, and then it just goes right around. Didn't even come to a full and complete stop at this stoplight. It just went through, super slow. It's like if that cyclist had suddenly started going, they would have crashed into each other. But they deserve it, They totally deserve it. They're just running amok. Oh, and here we got another one right on the sidewalk there. And this was scaring the hell out of me. You can see I'm like really kind of backing off, like put my distance, because I don't know what this guy's going to do. If he's there sitting on the sidewalk, who knows what else he could do. And as you can see, like right in front of me, there's a perfectly good bike lane he could be in. But of course, he's going to do something crazy, so he's not going to use that perfectly good bike lane. Right, and see, there's some more totally psycho cyclists using that bike lane. That bike lane is a total death trap. There's no way they should be using it. This one, right? She like uses the crosswalk and then goes back into the bike lane. It's like as if somebody's gonna, go past her here in a car or something. I don't know what she's anticipating, but and then you can see these two cyclists here, not even stopped at the stopping line. They're stopped at the crosswalk. There's some countries in the world, where they have taken the cycling situation to the extreme and they actually set it up so that the cyclist stopping line is ahead of the driver's stopping line so that drivers don't hit them when they're turning right or whatever. And it's, these countries, they try all sorts of stuff, with the assumption that drivers are dangerous, and cyclists are vulnerable or something like that. And it just leads to all sorts of chaos. This is complete chaos. Another cyclist on the sidewalk here. It's, pushing past all the pedestrians. Right now we got like 3 cyclists on the sidewalk. I mean, come on, how's somebody supposed to walk around? You can see these pedestrians here are terrified. They're absolutely terrified because they're being swarmed by a whole bunch of psycho cyclists. That's how I would feel. Look at that guy. Terrified. This dude just crossing like he owns the road, This is the other thing about bike lanes. See, this could have been a parking space, but it's a bike lane, right? So this driver's parking there because, right, what else are you going to do? You got to park somewhere. Crazy psycho cyclist crossing with the right of way there, straight through. I mean, and there's another one just crossing over. She has the right of way and she thinks it's for her. It's I don't know how to explain that kind of behavior. Just doesn't make any sense. And I'm really glad that Councillor Mamalidi has brought this up because somebody on City Council has to tell the truth about what normal cyclist behavior is actually like. You can see, it's not the drivers that are breaking the law. It's not the pedestrians that are breaking the law. It's the crazy psycho cyclists, and it's because they have bike lanes. Look at this woman here. Just hanging out behind one bus, and now she's slowing down another bus. You know? The correct thing to do is to dismount your bike, walk on the sidewalk as a pedestrian with your bike, and then get out of the way, when there's other pedestrians there. Because you're using the sidewalk to, transport your bike, and they're using it to walk, which is what you're supposed to do. And like I say, we got perfectly good bike lanes here, I don't know why anyone would need to use the sidewalk to turn right when when there's this great bike lane available going through there. And you can see, drivers are respecting the bike lanes. They're staying out of the bike lanes, because they're reasonable. But you can't do everything right. As soon as there's a cyclist around, it's like there's no right way to drive. That's the biggest problem with them. So let's see what other kind of weird, crazy psycho behavior we end up seeing here. Another one just going through the intersection, with their right of way. You got to get off your bike. You got to walk across the crosswalk, properly. Can't just be biking through intersections on the green light. It's the most dangerous place for a cyclist to be. That's where, most of the time when a cyclist gets hit, it's while they're crossing an intersection outside the crosswalk with the right of way, and so it's the dumbest thing you can possibly do as a cyclist. You can see how nice it is when there's no cyclists around. Drivers just getting along, obeying the rules. Being good to each other, being normal, everything works. And as soon as a cyclist shows up, it all falls apart. Like this guy, he's going to destroy the whole situation just by cycling through. Totally, just wrecking it for everybody. They don't wait at the stop lines. They just go right through red lights. No regard for pedestrians, just knocking over pedestrians all over the place. And meanwhile, the driver's just doing everything right. But you can't, there's no right thing to do when you got some cyclists here doing something like this. Look at that. Just turning out and then back in. Makes no sense. It's not like there's going to be some driver coming along here using the bike lane to pass another driver there. Drivers just don't do that because they're not psycho. It's the cyclists. It's the cyclists that are the psychos. The real source of the danger. Like this person here. Look at that. Went right through on the yellow. Didn't even stop before turning right. I mean, you're not required to, but because he's a cyclist, he should be stopping at every single opportunity. He should be taking every opportunity to stop, look around, wait for everybody else, wait for the drivers, see what the drivers are doing and stuff like that. You got to be doing that. You can't just be, cycling around, as if you're going somewhere. So this is another spot. This is just north of. This is between Dundas and St. Clair on Runnymede. You can see cyclists using it in just such a dangerous way. Look at that! It turned right out of the bike lane and then back into the bike lane. I mean, it's just insane. the way that these people are doing their thing. You know, it makes no sense. Another thing about this spot is there's not even that many cyclists using it, you know, and as you can see, it's a great set of bike lanes. You know, it's like, what is this person doing? Oh my gosh. She's actually trying to turn into the Walmart area. That's crazy. Making a left turn as a cyclist. It's crazy. I mean, it's you know, this bike lane is great. It's big enough to drive a car through, you know, so I don't know why it's why it's not more popular with the cyclists. Since it's, you know, since it's so wide. I mean, you got so much space there, you could have one car, you know, passing another, right? There's so much room, so, you know, you'd think that there'd be more cyclists using it. But, you know, such a good bike lane, but, you know, you give cyclists, like, the best stuff, and it doesn't matter. You know, they'll still do crazy stuff, like turning left. I mean, insane. Got some good auto body shops here next to me. I'm going to speed this up here a little bit, because there's just not that many cyclists here. I mean, you give them something amazing like this, and, you know, look at the response. Not much. You know, this bike lane takes you all the way to St. Clair, you know, an awesome road to bike on, you know, so I don't know why, you know, why we're not seeing more cyclists. It just goes to show, you know, putting in bike lanes doesn't really do anything, because they don't even get used. And you got this space that, you know, it could hold two cars next to each other, but drivers can't do it because there's this bike lane here, you know, and they'd be breaking the law. And drivers are really, really, you know, really careful about breaking the law. They don't, you know, they stay out of the bike lanes. And so in this spot, you know, they're really screwing themselves, because you can see how, you know, how congested it gets. And, you know, this is the evening, you know, it's like, I don't know, 7 o'clock or something like that. So it's not as congested as it would be during, you know, a proper, like, rush hour, like between, you know, 5 and 5:30, something like that. But you can see it's packed with, see, there's my bike. Yeah. My Miata 210. Love that thing. It's great. I walk it on the sidewalk everywhere I go. Never use the road, because, you know, you shouldn't be using the road on a bike. It's right. You can't be on the road, can't be on the sidewalk. Those are the big things to remember about cycling. So if you wanna be a cyclist, you know, if you wanna be a non-psycho cyclist, the only way to do it is on foot, you know, walking with your bike next to you. And then, you know, you can get to some really awesome trails that way, and, you know, and go cycling on those trails if you want to have a bike ride. That's what I do. You know, walk a couple kilometers with my bike on the sidewalk to Humber Valley Recreational Trail or something like that, and use that for my bike ride. It's great. I don't really remember whether there's any other cyclists using this road at this time. Not really. Again, it's, you know, it's inexplicable, because this bike lane takes you all the way to St. Clair, which is, you know, a totally great, you know, St. Clair is such a great cycling route. You know, I don't know why, you know, why there wouldn't be more cyclists there on Runnymede. So anyway, there you go. More, you know, another incredible, illuminating installment of Toronto's Psycho Cyclists. Come back next time, and I'll show you even more complete crazies on the road.